Thank you for the nice introduction. A very good afternoon to the August gathering. So, we are all privileged to have our distinguished guest, Shri Mukul Kumar. He's a multi-talented individual, an author, a poet, and a bureaucrat, excelling and making an impact in each field. His literary works are a testament to his creative genius, and his contributions to the bureaucratic field are a reflection of his sharp intellect and dedication. So now to set the ball rolling, I would like to give the audience a taste of his creative writing where he explores philosophical ideas through the lens of fiction. So Mukulji, can you please read out some favorite part of the book where you are blending beautifully the philosophy into the fiction? So I've read the book and I assure you that this is a wonderful fiction book where philosophy creeps in between every page and you love to read it. So over to you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rattan. At the outset, heartfelt thanks to CLS for having me here and giving me an opportunity to be amongst the literature lovers. Yes, coming to this book or coming to my style of writing, of course, I have so far written 3 novels, and those 3 novels have definitely philosophy woven into the plot. And that is my natural propensity that comes out naturally. But having said that, I believe, the moment you talk about life philosophy, it gives, birth to philosophy. All of us are somewhere philosophers, but unconsciously, many a time, philosophy is the art and science of negotiating life. Yes. I will illustrate it with an example, like suppose your loved one departs, and instantly you rationalize, only the body is gone, the soul is still there, and, soul is merged in this ether. And it is all around. And somewhere, I think the soul is watching over you. This is what? This is philosophy. You are trying to philosophizing the absence of your loved one and instantly able to rationalize it. So that is, philosophy is the, human individual way of seeing and feeling the total push and pressure of the cosmos. Our relationship with the universe, of course. And what a philosopher does here, because, philosopher, Plato says that, philosophy begins in wonder. So a philosopher is perpetually in a state of wonder. He reflects on life, and life is an eternal source of, inspiration. Muse, life ultimately becomes the muse of the philosopher. So that way, I think philosophy naturally comes to me. And what I try to do, I amplify that element of philosophy in my plots. Coming to this book, you have asked me to read out a passage. So let me read out how, I will bring out in this novel, there is a para which brings out the relationship between man and nature. So I would love to read out, it happens to be one of my favorite, excerpts from this book. How nature goes to man. Nature is the closest friend of an artist, furnishing him the ultimate references of beauty and the surest triggers for the imagination. To a scientist, nature is as much a foe as a friend, who both fights and befriends it, not only to sustain the survival, but also gives the luxuries. A sensualist believes that starving the senses to seek the soul is to surrender all for nothing, and thus limits his engagement with nature to rejoicing in its beauty and utility. To a mystic, nature is the guide to the soul, and the eerie wonder from its scientific rhythm, which is almost unfailing, and its wondrous beauty, the most palpable reflections of divinity. A philosopher derives bliss from the man's eternal curiosity to unravel the mysteries of nature, relishing the power to frame a different answer to the same questions, with the full liberty to place it anywhere between the extremities of the senses and the soul. Hence, nature fosters the senses as much as soul, sounds as much as silences, matter as much as the mind. Priests exploit the mysteries of nature to concoct delusions for man, to offer him the much needed escape from the maddening realities of life. Nature makes man feel like a Lilliput cast upon the earth. Amidst this incomprehensible order, all clueless, or a giant who is proud of the fact that man alone has the capability to celebrate at once the comprehensibility and incomprehensibility of nature with his intelligence and intellect. And last but not the least, to lovers, nature gives the varied theatres for the play of romance in its myriad hues, rays being one such in which theatre Mihir and Jyoti finds themselves on this day.
So wonderfully said. And in his book, he also written that nature and romance are bosom pals.
Yes,
So-
for the lovers, I think it is a very common sight that whenever lovers want to feel the intimacy, I think they take recourse to nature. Nature
Yes,
is the ultimate
yes.
refuge for the lovers.
So as he himself says, he's a bureaucrat by profession, a poet at heart, and novelist by passion. So we have got an idea of this by his reading. So coming back to the book, I read the book and I've seen that you have done an incredible job in exploring the complexities of love. You have surely aroused the curiosity of many of us in the audience. So what are the shades of love that will be coming across in the book, the readers will be coming across in the book?
Yeah, this book actually explores love at two planes. First is it is the clash between the romantic love and the parental love. Here I am portraying a love vis-a-vis family, not as a clash directly between duty and family. Duty and love. Duty here also, I think here is the character Mihir, who is so fiercely attached with his parents that Jyoti senses that he is torn between the romantic love and the duty towards the family, but that duty somehow doesn't, smack of the sense of burden. She is able to sense that Mihir loves his parents. The first plane at which I am exploring love is the clash between the romantic love and the familial love, parental love, I call it. And second is through the another character, Sheetal, because Jyoti's, philosophy of love is suffused with the sense of sacrifice. She's able to sense that Mihir is torn, feeling torn, not very happy, and gradually I think she comes to realize that it is better to sacrifice love for the sake of parental love, because parents have the first right over over our lives, and they shape our life. They not only give birth to us, they shape our life. And second plane at which I have explored love is the two shades of romantic love are juxtaposed against each other. Here is Sheetal, who is prepared to sacrifice her love, and there is another character, Sheetal, who in spite of being aware of Mihir's relationship with Jyoti, refuses to give up. She falls in love, she falls for this guy, she refuses to give up, and she says reason is alien to the language of heart, so she refuses to give up, and her love for Mihir is powered by a fierce sense of possession.
Yes.
So that is how this book is. Like at the first plane, it juxtaposes romantic love vis-a-vis familial love, and the second plane, it juxtaposes the two shades of romantic love itself.
So here's Sheetal, who is obsessive about her love, and while Jyoti is sacrificing her love, her lover for love, I can say.
Yeah, but ultimately at the end of the book, when she tries to convince Mihir, it is an emotionally intense moment in the book. And I got the feedback from many of the readers that they felt really moved by that particular scene in the book when she tries to convince him that it is a sacrifice is the soul of love somewhere, and she says that even if I get you, I attain you, I won't be attain you in totality, because the guilt from hurting, the guilt from displeasing our parents will be there, and that chocolate and flower love which which we have enjoyed so far, which we journeyed through so far, will be polluted by interfamilial conflicts or the rigors of the families. So that is how she is able to rationalize.
Yeah. So Jyoti's love was, her story was very poignant and very thought-provoking. So can you give us an idea of how Jyoti explains the sacrifice of her lover for love from the book, if you can read an excerpt? About that?
I
Because-
will just read out that small excerpt,
Yeah.
which
Because she very beautifully explains why she is sacrificing.
which brings out the other shades of love. So I feel where Jyoti is talking to Mihir, who is the protagonist. So I feel we should allow duty to prevail over love, And this is not only for our families, but also for ourselves. And I am sure we won't be able to bear the burden of guilt from not caring for our parents' wishes and circumstances. And let me tell you, I can sense that you love your parents as well. Hence, this dharma carries a deep shade of love. That is what I was trying to, convey, that it is the duty towards the family doesn't smack of the sense of burden. It is love. It is, parental love. This dharma carries a deep shade of love which plunges us into the dilemma of choosing between two loves. I hope, being a poet, you can grasp what I say without misunderstanding me. Jyoti's tone was placid and composed. Jyoti, with her talk of two kinds of love, had brought forth a very fine subject, various hues of love. When man falls into romantic love, there are already different shades pre-existing in, different shades of love pre-existing in him. Parental, brotherly, sisterly, friendly, so on and so forth. But romance in youth is like the wild wintry blossom, flamed like fire, which dazzles any other flora around and tends to foment an unmatchable frenzy of passions because it has as much senses as soul. This reminds me of Albert Camus, that, of a famous philosopher. He says, he has beautifully brought out the different shades of love, and he just treats romantic love as one of the different shades of love, and that always comes into clash with the other shades, other types of love which are pre-existing and an individual.
That's beautiful. Now, coming back to the protagonist of the story, Mihir. Now, he is a newly minted bureaucrat. He's intellectual, he's philosophical, he's very shy guy. So, what was your experience in crafting out this character? Was it very difficult, or being a bureaucrat, it was very easy to craft out this character? Because people are loving him. You have cast him in 2 books, consecutive books.
It was, it was easy and difficult at once. Easy, why easy? To start with, it was easy because Mihir has been drawn from my first book, As Boys Become Men.
Yes.
And there I confessed that Mihir is me only. It was purely, I think it was autobiographical, fictional account of my autobiographical experiences. Since Mihir and Jyoti, main characters have been drawn from that particular book, so Mihir carries through. But when I say that as a writer, when you, you try to put yourself down onto the paper, you realize how challenging it is to know yourself. For a writer, it is the journey through the self-discovery. Even if you are portraying yourself on the paper, let me tell you, many other dimensions will emerge, and you will realize that it is the journey through the self-discovery. You start realizing, okay, I had never been conscious of these aspects, these nuances in my personality. That is a wonderful journey. So that way, it has been easy, and the takeoff was easy, but the flight was not. Flight was definitely challenging.
So that comes to a very interesting point. Did it give you some sense of relief, or some sense of you can say some sense of growth potential in yourself? You're writing out Mihir. Did you find something revealing?
Definitely, as I told you, life is my eternal muse. And when you delve deep into yourself, you start appreciating your personality in much and much better way. And art anyway has an ennobling influence. So I feel it goes a long way in fostering the goodness in you. So that thing I have realized, and as regards, I can say that, at the end of it, even if I'm portraying myself, I emerge evolved in much many more ways.
Okay, so we should be expecting him in your future books, Mihir.
Well, directly, if Mihir is not there, I believe a writer is everywhere. Just 2 days back, I was a speaker in a Sahitya Academy's Festival of Letters being organized in Delhi. I was one of the speakers, and at the end of the day, there was a session of Gulzar. So, Gulzar is such a popular guy, and people were thronging and listened to him. तो गुलजार से पूछा किसी ने वहाँ पे कि आप अपनी मूवी में कितना रहते हो, तो गुलजार ने बोला कि मैं अपनी फिल्मों में हर जगह हूँ, मैं किरदार में हूँ, मैं कायनात में हूँ, मैं अपने हर दृश्य में हूँ.
Wonderful.
So that is what Gulzar says. So and as a writer also, I feel, even if you are not painting yourself directly, you are exploring other characters, it is the writer's perception of that particular character. Suppose I wanted to portray the love which is suffused with a sense of sacrifice, then how Jyoti should be. Jyoti is the product of the writer's imagination. So Mihir since Mihir is the protagonist of the first novel and he happens to be the writer, I believe that writer will tend to be, entering into the various characters he creates over the period of time.
And I found the book was a master class in blending philosophy and fiction, skillfully challenging and expanding the minds of readers. So, for example, I will quote a few lines from the book that I saw, and these were very enriching. Like Mukul writes in his book, life is not dying. Happiness is not feeling sad, and not saying no is not saying yes. So these are the philosophical tones in the fiction. And of course, vanity veils virtues in man. So,
Vanity veils virtues in man, that is how, if you encounter an arrogant person, so that arrogance is so abrasive at times that there might be other virtues in him, but that vanity wields those, those virtues.
so that arouses the curiosity in my mind. How is
Philosophy, when I talk of philosophy, I'm again reminded of Shakespeare's famous saying that, Shakespeare calls adversity, philosophy to be adversity sweet milk.
yeah?
I just illustrated with example how you rationalize the death, how you rationalize the pain, how you rationalize the suffering in your life. So their philosophy comes to your rescue. And rightly he says, I think Shakespeare, he is the ultimate, name in literature. So this saying of Shakespeare is very close to my heart. Philosophy is adversity's sweet milk.
Yeah, so melancholy brings out more philosophy in man.
Yeah.
So, and that makes me very curious to know how is this Mukul Kumar as a poet, because you are talking about philosophy and the
Yeah, poetry, I am basically poet at heart. I started my literary journey with poetry. And my first collection was published in 2012. So whosoever has, gone through my novels comes out with this observation that my prose is informed by my poetry. And my poetry is informed by my prose. I think that my poetry tends to be a little narrative in nature. So here prose informs poetry, but the piece of like I read out. So there is, my prose tends to carry that, poetic fervor and flavor. So, and as far as poetry is concerned, I think I told you at heart I'm a poet. I have 3 collections to my credit.
so we'd love to get a flavor of your poems, yeah.
My latest collection is Rhythm of the Ruins. I think this was much appreciated. I think at all the literary forum, and I will like to read out a poem from this.
Yes, a poem close to the heart.
And this poem, I think I should make a special mention since I am in Chandigarh that it has been published by a Chandigarh publisher.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. So we would love to hear a poem from your book, Rhythm of the Ruins.
I will just read out. I will read out a poem that is titled "I Wish to Be Where I Am Not." I wish to be where I am not. This is the poem that I call the resonance between man and nature. How a simple sight of bird taking the flight off from a tree unlocks that sense of wanderlust in the poet. So this poem explores the quest for freedom in man. The cheerful quiver of the twig the bird has just left. The cheerful quiver of the twig the bird has just left. A soothing surge raised from a seething stillness within. The sonorous resonance. This is the resonance between man and nature. The man is pairing with nature. Poet is pairing with nature. The sonorous resonance. I am where I am not. I am where I am not. The spirit on a spirited voyage, searching the uncertain destination of the bird. Searching the uncertain destination of the bird. I wish to dwell where I don't. I wish to dwell where I don't. I wish to continue being where I am not.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I really wonder how do you balance your creative pursuits with your professional life? Because we have some young students of the literature here. So they would also like to know more about balancing Mukul the bureaucrat, Mukul the poet, Mukul the author. How do you balance such creative pursuits? with the same dedication to your
Since you
profession.
told that here students are sitting, to just last week I was invited to a college as the chief guest on the annual day, and I felt very nostalgic. And while talking to the students, I got reflecting on youth because that reminded me of my young days. Then I identified youth with that mountainous course of the river. That once the river has started its journey from the glacier, no matter how rocky, rough, and tough is the terrain, it will cut gorges, it will carve canyons, it will shatter rocks, but ultimately it will find its way into the plains. About passion also, I have the same metaphor coming in my mind, that passion, the ways of passion are compelling. I identified, passion with that mountainous course of the river, that once it has started, it will find its journey. So I think it has been a very challenging but thrilling journey for me, figuring out the middle path between my profession and passion. Of course, time-wise, of course, when you devote time to it, it has to be only at the expense of the other activities in your life. But then that gives you a sublime satisfaction. And that satisfaction, once you taste that creative pleasure, you will not like to sacrifice at any cost.
So when you get an idea, yeah, we would love to have a question from the audience. Yes, please. Do you need a mic?
Your mic is there.
Can somebody help?
Thank you for this lovely session that is going on. I'm Nirja. I'm a gynecologist by profession and a future writer. So I think that when parents name us, they don't know our future. But you are the creator. You created your characters. So you created a Mihir and you created a Jyoti. Mihir is sun. Jyoti is light. Why did you separate them?
Pardon?
Why did you separate them?
Why did you
I
separate
have one more comment after this.
Wonderful question, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
please go ahead. You can ask your second question also if you have. He will answer the.
My
both of them.
second is that I belong to Punjab and I am a gynecologist. So I see a lot of women and their husbands. So they say, "Mere paas to maa hai." Ma. It goes on in Bollywood movies. And I personally feel as a professional that it is this very attitude which is the cause of inhuman behavior towards their daughters-in-law and the women in our society. This is how I feel. In your book, you have love. You have a parental love and you have a love of the soul. Why and how did you think that parental love should supersede? Because like Khalil Gibran says, the children don't belong to you. They are just arrows which come out. And
Yeah, I think it is that takes me deeper into the plot of this story. While I say that as a writer, I have made love find its consummation in separation, but then I have provided the context also to give birth to that, separation. While here is a character, because when Jyoti falls in love with Mihir, Mihir was already predetermined that, okay, his parents, he has to marry according to the wishes of his parents for the simple reason that he wants to reward the sacrifices his parents have made for him. Not only that marriage has some other value, some extrinsic value or some extrinsic, facet, for the simple reason that it is the power of the decision making that you are handing over to your parents. So it is his way of rewarding the sacrifices of his parents. While Mihir is later on their situation allows their attraction to mature into love. But then, as Mihir is gradually moving from parental love to romantic love, there are certain developments in Jyoti's own family. That is a contrarian journey for Jyoti during the story. If you go through the story, Jyoti is traversing from romantic love to parental love. It is like there are certain adverse developments in a family which demands her presence with her mother, her living together with her mother and sister who gets divorced, and she is in deep pain and anguish. They have already lost their father. So that is how she could sense, she could rationalize. Mihir is also feeling torn between parental love and romantic love. And now my own family circumstances are such that, again, I am also facing the same dilemma. I am also caught up in the same conflict between the romantic love and the parental love. That is how the story progresses. But at the same time, let me tell you, it is a fiction. It is a fiction. It could have very well taken some, other course, but then the story would be different, context would be different. So that is the power of the fiction, that you guide the characters, but ultimately you guide the story. But as I progressed through the novel, the story took me along. That is how, and more so because there was another character, Sheetal, who again falls in love with Mihir, and she goes to the readers as a very convincing character because she says, ki, I am aware of your love for Jyoti, but reason is alien to the language of heart. You can't explain love. The tosses and turns of heart are inexplicable, beyond control. So that is how two shades of romantic love have been juxtaposed. So I think your question is very relevant. It could have gone the other way, but here love has found consummation in separation. I think there have been various, movies, also cinemas and various literature. Most of the love stories have ended into, tragedy. And all those love stories which we read somehow, which
Mukulji
we
has highlighted the various shades of love.
Can we not juxtapose? Okay. I live. So what I mean to say is that why can't both coexist? You can have parental love as well as romantic love coexisting with each other. And that needs sacrifice from both the ends. Why should one end sacrifice?
Does it happen always?
I mean,
if
we are talking of fiction, then let's fictionalize this as well.
Shakespeare says that, love is a smoke that is made with a fume of sighs. Love carries, love has to encounter challenges. You can't, it is a very...
Have we grown anywhere as a society from Shakespeare's time to today's time? I mean, if we are still living in that same century and same way of thinking, where are we growing?
So that brings a very interesting point, Mukulji.
No. I think I would like to reflect on that.
Yes.
Very well said. Here I told you, here is the protagonist who has not approached his parents in a very abrasive and direct manner, though he's trying to persuade. But just let me tell you. And he actually did not want to take the decision-making authority from him, from them. Just let me complete myself. Let me complete. His parents would have very well agreed with the union of Mihir and Jyoti, but there are certain circumstances in the life of Jyoti. So this story, I think you have to see as it is.
I am not taking away
Different
anything from the
perspectives of
story. I accept we all can have different philosophies of life, and your story was your baby. You gave it the shape you wanted to, but it's just how as audience we
How
feel
as the
about
audience
it.
hears
That's
it,
what we are conveying.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much,
yeah,
ma'am.
I
Thank you so much.
But
I'm saying more the controversies, more popularity will be there. So cheers to your book.
But you want the rosy scenario where everything falls in place for the love to flower and love to reach the culmination. That doesn't happen
Thank
always.
you so much.
It's not a question,
for
it's
your-
a comment. Love is not a perishable commodity. It's not like if I give so much love to somebody, utna mujhe, have to give lesser love to somebody. This is it's just
Yeah,
an
it's a-
infinite thing. You can keep
Yes.
giving love to everyone.
Yes, we do agree.
Just a comment, not a...
So we are short of time. I think we are already, the time is over. So we'll be taking the Mukulji is here only. So please, you can have a... Okay, one last question. Yes, thank you.
Sir, I am General Raj Mehta. I've been writing books on military subjects, which is not the purview of this discussion. But just to let you know, we are on somewhat equal terms. We are both authors. Right. I came to know of you 15 minutes ago. And your name, the book that you've been writing on. But the reason I intend to buy your book is because of this lady. This lady, gynecologist, has asked a question that has ruined many families. Because there is no concrete answer to this question, तेरे पास क्या है? मेरे पास माँ है. There are a lot of daughters-in-law going around.
I think
With a little bit
if
of-
time allows, can I read out a small passage?
Just a moment.
I think that will adequately answer
You
your
would
question.
allow me to finish so that thereafter it's all yours and the ladies, compeers. The point at issue is, there is a problem. There is that arrogant, haughty, tall, silly man who says, I have everything, tere paas kya hai? And that VP little brat turns around and says, mere paas maa hai. Fair enough. But the interpretation in India has been a bit awkward for the girl who would be a daughter-in-law. That is point one. Point two is, you talk of love as emerging from a glacier, let's say the Siachen.
Love, no, passion I told.
Yeah. You mentioned passion as emerging and rolling out of a glacier and then finally going to the plains. That's one interpretation. Passion can also be kind, soft, subtle, humble, like a brook, bubbling, innocent, joyful.
Agreed.
Why not mention that as an alternative?
Yeah.
Why just talk of passion rolling down, destroying everything?
No, not destroying river. River doesn't destroy anything. River,
I think that has given enough fuel to Mukulji's imagination to write a sequel to this book where the two lovers unite.
Rivers,
I
rivers
began
are
by...
the harbor of civilization. How can you say that?
Sir, I
river
began by saying we are talking...
Yeah, point is well taken, sir.
We are talking as
allow me to respond.
talking as somewhat
I use-
equal, sir.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I used that metaphor when he posed the question to me, how do you find time to write? It is the passion for literature, and passion for literature I identified with that mountainous course of the river. Ultimately, that is why I identified my creativity with catharsis. It is so compelling that unless and until I give vent to
Thank
my
you.
feelings, I can't be at peace with myself. That metaphor I used in that context.
Thank you, sir. I think we can continue with the one-to-one
Thank you so much for the
conversation
lovely
later.
audience and the interaction.
But
We
it
are
was an
so
interesting
delighted to have you all.
discussion.
And River, you told that, if they destroy, it is absolutely, I think, contrarian, notion that rivers have been the harbinger of civilization. But for the rivers, human civilization would not have come into existence.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mukul Kumar.
Thank you, everyone.
Dr.
Thank you.
Aditya Rattan. Thank you, sir, for...
Yes. So the discussion can continue. Mukulji is here with us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks again to ma'am, Dr. Smita Mishra and CLS for having me here and have a wonderful session and to be amidst the literature lovers.
So thank you for unfolding the layers of love. Bylanes of Thank you. I am actually amazed at the perspicacity and versatility of our speakers as well as moderators. So how literature acts as a binding thread between people, how it weaves thoughts and emotions in the world.